Hi everyone, welcome to Learning Impact. In today's lecture, we will discuss difference between community and society. So let's start. Okay, what is the definition of community and society? Community is a group of people who are living in a same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So those people who are living in a same place, for example, neighborhood, they are sharing the same place. So they form a kind of community, and they should have a one particular characteristic in common. That characteristic can be of any. For example, if they have the similar area of interest, they form a community. For example, the fitness class, the group of people who came to attend the fitness class, they form a kind of community because the interest is same, which is a particular characteristic that should be in common. So this is the community. But in case of the society, it is also a group of people, but they share a common territory. And in case of the community, it is called a space, but in case of society, we call it territory because it is on large scale. And they share a common culture. But the main point which distinguishes society from the community is that society include interaction with interaction with the people from various backgrounds. In case of community, for example, local neighborhood, you just communicate with their neighbors. In case of the fitness class, you communicate with the people who having the similar interest areas you have. So they does not show much diversity. But in case of the society, you will have the interaction with the people from the diverse background. For example, USA, the whole nation we are referring. So there are more than 50 states in which the people interaction will be with an individual of any state. So there is a large diversity, so it will form society. Similarly, Pakistan society, there are Pashtun, Balochis. So these are, Pashtun is the community in Pakistan society, Baloch is the community in Pakistan society. But if we refer to the whole nation, then it is called society because it includes the interaction with varied people, interaction with the people from the diverse backgrounds. Then there are also other differences. For example, size. In case of the community and society, they both are a group of people, but in case of the community, it is a small group of people which form community. But in case of society, which is also a group of people, but there are a large number of people who are included. For example, book club, it is an example of community where people come and share the knowledge which they have about the book they have read. So, and for example, European Union, it forms society because it includes many nations. So the community size is smaller as compared to society. Then other differences, for example, if we take nature, how community is by nature, it is homogeneous while society is heterogeneous. What does it mean by homogeneous and heterogeneous? Community is considered the people who are living in a community, they have more sentiment and sense of belongingness to their community. And in case of the society, they have lesser sentiment and belongingness, and because there is more diversity. For example, the Pakistanis who are living abroad, that we call it Pakistani community, they have a large sense of belongings to their community because they have the characteristics that are common because they have some characteristics that are common, and that is that they have the same identity abroad. So that's why we can see community is homogeneous and society is heterogeneous. We can take example, for example, religious congregation. The Muslims gather for the prayer in the mosque. They form a community because they have the characteristic in common that they all have been gathered for the same action, and all are Muslims. So the same identity, and it form a community. But in case of for example, if we take UN, United Nations, they have many countries, almost every country is included in it. So it is called a society, and it is heterogeneous because every country has its own society, on identity, and they have been gathered on the same platform, so they form society. Then essential factors. Sometimes locality become essential factor for community, but diversity is for society. Diversity is essential for society. And in case of the community, it may be sometime it become essential for that community must have a definite locality, as we discussed local neighborhood. They share the same locality with you, so they are part of your community. But it is not necessary also. As I discussed, sometime it becomes necessary. For example, in online gaming community, it is not necessary to have the definite locality. Okay. So, but in case of the society, diversity is essential. For example, digital society, when on digital platform the people from every corner of the globe, they are interacting, so they form a kind of society and it has a huge diversity. Then other difference, for example, scope. Community can be based on the geographical. Community can be classified on the basis of geography. For example, local neighborhood as we discussed. Interest based, for example, hiking club. Those people who have been gathered, they have the common interest, that is hiking. So that's why we can say interest based. Culture, for example, culture association. The people gather and representing a single culture. For example, the culture exchanges program in different countries, they represent the single culture, like the Pashtun culture representation or Sindhi culture representation. These are called the culture associations. So they form a kind of community. Also, another virtual factor, online gaming, these are communities. But in case of the society, it is actually a collection of multiple communities and groups. For example, Indian society, it is a collection of various groups and community. There is Muslim community, Christian community, Sikh community who are living in India. So there are many communities that have been gathered, and the Indian society is a kind of platform that has been provided for these communities to live together. So we can say that the scope of community is narrow as compared to society. Then hierarchy. Hierarchy is actually the classification of individuals on the basis of ranks or any social status. So community has informal hierarchies. It means it is unofficial. It is not something that has been according to the education or according to the official document. It is all about that how people perceive someone in their community. And while society has a formal hierarchy, for example, in a friendship circle, it is a kind of community. There are informal hierarchies. For example, a friend who has a leadership skill, they take the role of leadership. The other friends who are good in organizations, so they take the role of organizing outings, and other who are good in mediating, so they take the role of mediating conflicts, while others prefer to follow. So these hierarchies are not something that according to the official documents, but it is something that how people perceive individual in that community, they have been assigned that role. So this social hierarchy in the hierarchy in a community is based on informal criteria, while in case of the society, it is based on the formal hierarchies. For example, in case of the Pakistan society, from local councils to national parliament, these all are the hierarchies, and they have been elected by the people of Pakistan. They have been these people have been selected on the basis of merit. So these are called formal hierarchies. So in case of community, we see informal hierarchies, while in case of society, there are formal hierarchies. Then other are institutions network. For community and society, both need institutions to work, but in case of community, there are limited number of institutions, while in case of society, is a huge network of institutions. For example, a religious congregation is the example of community, but there is only one institution which is at play, that is the religion institution. But in case of the global financial system, it is a kind of society. And in case of the global financial system, there are many institutions at work. For example, central banks, commercial banks, investment firms, stock exchanges, insurance companies, rating agencies, also regulatory bodies, international financial institutions, many other institutions. So these all institutions, they run a global financial system which is called society. Another example, Pakistan society. It run on the basis of many institutions, political institution, economic institution, religion institution. These all are the institutions who run this one society, that is Pakistani society. So we can say that the network of institutions in a community has a limited numbers, while in case of the society, it is a huge and a complex system of institutions that which are always at work. Then change. How community and society change. Community and society, they both change because we can say the culture, it is not always static, but community, they change at a slower pace because they have the high social solidarity, high social cohesion. So they change at a slower pace and they respond to a local dynamics. But in case of society, they undergo social changes which is at broad level and have the global effects. For example, if there is any in your community, in your neighborhood, if there is a small business people want to initiate, so they have to open their local shops for small business. So this could be that the community may be changed and it may grow, but it will be on a local level. And another example, for example, a community may initiate their work on gardening because they want to make their community to look more better. So in this way the community, they may change, but it will be at a slower pace the because it will have a low effect and it has a small group of people who will take part in this. But in case of the social change, for example, the suffragist movement, the first wave of feminism, which was run to assure the political rights of the women, which was the right to cast vote. So it bring a large social change. It changed the women's status globally. So this, we can say that community change at a slower pace, while society, they undergo dramatic social changes. Then how it affect our society? Community just constitute part of a larger society. For example, Pashtun community in Pakistan society is just part of a larger society. Similarly, while in case of the society, they form a large framework for entire social structure. For example, in Indian society, there is Muslim community, they form just part of a larger society. While in case of the society, it refers to a whole nation. So we can say that India is a society which provide a platform for the communities, and these communities they form a part of a large society. So we can say that community and society both affect our whole social structure, but community, it is, we can say, a part or the constitutes of the society, while society itself is an entire social structure. At the last, we will discuss some examples. For example, community may include hobby group, those people who share same hobbies, support group who provide social support, or volunteer group who are social workers. They can form a community. While in case of society, for example, African society, whole nation, it refers to, it may be of any nation, ancient Roman societies also. So these are all the example of community and society, and also the difference between community and society. So this was the end of our lecture. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your questions in the comment section below, and like, share and subscribe our channel for latest lectures. Thank you.